Today we're going to talk about if giving your ex space actually works. And I think ultimately what it boils down to is how you are defining that space. By nature, space means simply giving your ex time. Right now, for some people that can be, hey, my ex isn't texting me back, let me give them space for a few days. And then for others, it could be a full-blown no contact rule. But do these things actually work on your ex? Well, before we explore that idea, the first thing that I want you to do, especially if you're new to this process or even considering getting your ex back or moving on from your ex, is to actually hop over to our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, and take our starter quiz there. It's a simple quiz designed to tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back, so that can actually inform your decision on whether or not you want to get your ex back or simply want to move on. So if this sounds like a quiz that you're interested in taking it is very easy. All you have to do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link that you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can take it. Okay, so let's talk about if space actually works. So at the beginning of this video, I talked about different ways of defining space. For some, it can be a full-blown no contact rule, and for others, it can be, hey, my ex isn't responding to my text messages, let me give them space for a few days. But do things like this actually work on your ex? And well, I think yes and no. It's important to understand the real root of the problem. So we recommend for everyone to do a no contact rule after their breakup. Why? Because this not only gives you and your ex space, but it gives you time to use that time wisely, which not everyone does. But does something like a no contact rule where you're giving your ex space for a month actually work? Well, our research suggests that yes, it can work, but the no contact rule isn't everything that you need to do. So if you expect to just do a no contact rule and have your ex come back to you, it ain't gonna work. It just doesn't work that way. And then let's look at the other side of the equation. Let's say that you and your ex are texting and then all of a sudden he stops responding to your texts. Well, maybe you should give him some space. Does that actually work? Well, in my opinion, an ex who isn't responding to your text is often symptomatic of a problem that's not having to do with ignoring your ex. So in other words, if you don't solve that problem to begin with, then giving your ex space won't actually work. Now here is the thing that so many people falter at. What they don't understand is it isn't really a function of, hey, does giving my ex space work? Well, ultimately, yes, it can work. But what the most important thing for you to understand is how productive are you with the space that you're giving your ex? Are you just sitting around daydreaming about them, obsessing about what they're doing, who they're dating? If you're doing those things, that's not a very productive way of using the space that you're giving to your ex. A lot of people think, well, I'm giving my ex space, but the more important paradigm shift that you need to have is you're giving yourself space. Now, I know it seems cliche, whole work on yourself and that will help you get your ex back. But I actually find that it doesn't really work that way. But what's important is that you feel more confident after you've given your ex space, so that when you do talk to them again, the results tend to be a little bit different and you have more to bring to the table. And perhaps one of the most important things that I can leave you with in this video is when you actually do give your ex space, it gives you time to reevaluate even if you want to get them back. For some people, they don't really think very clearly after a breakup. There's always this knee-jerk reaction of immediately wanting to get their ex back after their ex has broken up with them or after they have broken up with their ex. And oftentimes, after they've had some space, they can kind of reset and determine, yeah, maybe that relationship isn't worth saving. Now, this is a scary thought for some people throughout this process because they're so afraid of losing their ex. They feel like, oh, if I give my ex space, he will forget me. But that is kind of missing the whole point. Trying to get an ex back by nature removes your function of control. So how does that really work? Well, technically, If you want to get into a relationship with someone, it takes two to tango. You need their permission to get into a relationship with them. And what people and my clients struggle with so much is this loss of control. They want to get their ex to respond to them because it makes them feel better about losing control. It makes them feel better about the fact, well, maybe he does still love me. But what's the important thing for them to realize is that by giving your ex space, which we recommend, doesn't really work in the function of, oh, it's gonna make my ex fall in love with me. Yeah, it can do that sometimes, but rarely. The most important thing is that it gives you time to get control back on the aspects of your life that you can control. We all have heard my theory on the Holy Trinity: health, wealth, and relationships, and the synergy between each of these three extremely important aspects of your life. Now, if you actually haven't heard that, it probably behooves you to watch some of the videos on the YouTube channel or even hop by our website and read the articles I've written about it. But here's the important point. Each one of these aspects has a synergistic effect on the other. So if you go through a breakup, your health and your wealth tend to take a dive. If you have a great day at work, you feel more confident going to the gym or working out or eating healthy or whatever that is, that part of your life also kind of creeps up, if that makes any sense. And this is the biggest problem I see from person to person. After their life spins out of control after a breakup, they let it affect all the other aspects of their life. And all that ends up doing is sending you down this downward spiral where you just feel like life isn't fair and this sucks and that sucks. I give up, you know? Well, what we're trying to get you to do is have an upward spiral by working on the other aspects of your life that aren't connected to relationships other than this synergistic principle. So by working on your health, by working on your wealth, and even by working on your relationships outside of your ex, you'll find it has these positive impacts on the relationship with your ex. It's a hard concept to sort of put into words, but I've seen it happen from person to person to person. I know it exists, and you need to believe that it does exist because it does. So here's the last point that I want to leave you with. I happen to believe that giving your ex space doesn't always work. But what I do believe in is that giving your ex space strategically works better than anything. So a lot of people misunderstand me when I say this. They think, well, hey, if my ex isn't responding to my text messages, I need to jump into a mini no contact rule, ignore them for a week. Well, we found that that actually doesn't work, and you're actually missing the point. Maybe if your ex isn't responding to your text messages, it's because your text messages need work or they just flat out suck. Here's what I do believe in. If you're doing everything else right, if your text messages are on point, if you're engaging them in the best types of conversations that you can possibly conceive of and you're still not getting anything, maybe then it's time to give them space and use that space strategically, because after all, space is nothing more than just giving them time. You sometimes have to be willing to lose the guy to get the guy. This is an important thing, especially when it comes to giving your guy or your ex space. Often, too many times I see clients are too afraid to give their ex space because they're too afraid of losing the game, of losing the chance of getting them back. Who cares? I can tell you for a fact, if you are not willing to lose, you are not going to win. Hey, thanks for getting to the end of this video. I just want to say this was kind of an odd video. It wasn't as structured as the other ones. It was more sort of philosophical and sort of motivational. But if you liked these kind of videos, I'm happy to do more for you. Just let me know in the comments section below. And if you didn't like this video, let me know so I won't do more of them. I'm trying to give you guys the best type of content that I possibly can. Now, again, if you haven't already, stop everything you're doing and take our ex recovery chances quiz. If you're determining whether you want your ex back or you want to get over your ex, that is the quiz to tell you what to do. That will tell you the next steps, that will tell you what kind of chance you have approximately, and all you got to do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on it. It's that simple. Oh yeah, and click subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time.